you'd walk right past her. Just a girl scribbling notes in a tent that smelled like iodine and sweat. She didn't wear rank, didn't ask for respect. But some uniforms don't come with medals, and some warriors wait in silence until they're needed. The base was a pressure cooker. Helicopters dipped low over sun-baked dirt. Radios crackled. Boots pounded on gravel. Inside the med tent, chaos had a rhythm. Gauze, pressure, morphine. Again. Again. And in the corner, always in the corner, was her. Brown ponytail, rolled sleeves, quiet hands. Everyone just called her Tent Girl, even the officers. She didn't correct them. She knew what they saw, a civilian, probably just a nurse's aide or intern. Not worth saluting, not worth remembering. But she moved like someone who had seen death too many times to flinch. She never shouted, never rushed, just whispered to the wounded in steady tones, "You're going to be okay. I've got you." Nobody asked where she learned that. Then came the day the general arrived. Fresh uniform, silver stars, chest puffed like the desert wind. He walked the base like it was beneath his boots. Inspected faces, asked names, but not hers. Never hers. He passed the med tent once, eyes flicking over her clipboard. Didn't stop. Didn't ask. She didn't look up. And then it happened. A surprise inspection was called. Every able body on base stood in rows, heat rising off skin and sand. The general climbed a crate and began to speak, loud, commanding, rehearsed. He barely got through his second sentence. His knees buckled. His mouth froze mid-word. Then his body fell. It hit the dirt hard. No one moved. Not the guards, not the aides, not even the officers. Except her. The clipboard dropped from her hand before his body even finished falling. She sprinted forward, hair flying, knees already bent. Every soldier turned at once, some shocked, some confused, and a whisper spread before her knees even hit the ground. Wasn't that just the tent girl? Nobody knew the med tent girl was a combat medic until the general collapsed. She didn't wait for orders. She didn't need backup, because in the seconds that followed, everyone around her realized one truth. They'd misjudged the most dangerous person in the tent. She was already on one knee, checking the general's airway before the guards even stepped forward. Her fingers moved fast. Carotid pulse, shallow. Eyes, uneven. Breathing, collapsing fast. The general, the same man who didn't even look at her hours ago, was dying. Someone shouted for a medic. She didn't respond. She was already acting. One guard tried to push past her. She shot him a glare so sharp he froze. And then they saw it. As she rolled up his sleeve to place an IV, her own sleeve slid back, revealing a black tattoo inked along her inner forearm. An airborne combat medic badge, Special Forces variant. Not decorative. Earned. Rare. One of the older sergeants, standing just behind the line, dropped his canteen. He recognized that ink. He whispered, "That's not just a field medic. That's Tier 1. Now everything changed. The voices grew quiet. The guards stepped back. And she, the girl everyone had ignored, took full control of the general's trauma care. In under 30 seconds, she had his head tilted, his airway cleared, his vitals stabilized with a field injection she prepped from memory. And not once did her hand shake. A junior officer leaned in, voice trembling. "Ma'am, what unit were you with?" She didn't look up. Not one you'd find on paper. Nobody knew the med tent girl was a combat medic until the general collapsed. Now they couldn't stop looking. But she didn't notice the stares. She was already wrapping a pressure bandage and calling for a medevac like she'd done this 100 times before. Because she had. She didn't ask permission. She gave orders, and they obeyed. Because by now, everyone had seen what she was, and no one wanted to be the one who got in her way. The medevac chopper circled overhead, blades churning the desert air like thunder. She didn't flinch. She stood over the general with one hand shielding his face from the dust, the other still pressed on his IV line. Her hair whipped across her face, but she didn't even blink. A corporal approached, hesitantly. "Ma'am, command says to wait for medical escort." She cut him off, not with volume, but with certainty. "Tell command, if they want their general alive, they'll listen to me." No one argued. In minutes, the stretcher was loaded, and she climbed into the chopper like she belonged there, because she did. As they lifted off, two guards who'd tried to block her earlier just stared at each other. One finally muttered, "We messed up." The medic sat beside the general's unconscious body, checking his vitals, lips barely moving as she ran down stats into her headset. At the other end of the transmission, someone was listening. Not a hospital, not a base, a secure channel. And the voice that responded didn't address her like an unknown. It said, "Echo 7, confirm recovery protocol Bravo. You are cleared." She replied instantly. "Protocol Bravo, confirmed. Patient priority, flag level." Back on the base, the whispers had grown into silence. The sergeant who'd recognized her tattoo spoke again, this time to a captain. "She's not just special forces. She's off books, clearance above ours." The captain shook his head. Then why was she working in a mid-tent? And the old sergeant said something nobody forgot. Because real operators don't brag. They embed. Nobody knew the med tent girl was a combat medic until the general collapsed. Now no one could forget it. By sunrise, everything had changed. The general was alive. The base was silent. And the girl from the med tent was gone, but not forgotten. Because that morning, someone opened her file. The general survived the night. His vitals had stabilized mid-flight, thanks to decisions no junior medic should have known how to make, unless she wasn't junior at all. The base commander arrived before dawn. His first words were not about the general. They were about her. Who the hell is this girl? A young lieutenant handed him a file, thin, red-taped, and dust-covered. He opened it and stopped speaking. Pages of blacked-out lines, sections marked classified beyond level 3. Only one phrase stood unredacted on the summary sheet. Attached, Operation Scorchlight, Tactical Medic Clearance, Echo 7. The commander looked up. That op was buried 10 years ago. Exactly. She'd been there. Decorated, twice wounded, voluntarily reassigned to field duty. Kept off the record by choice. Not for medals, not for credit, for purpose. Nobody knew the med tent girl was a combat medic until the general collapsed, but she'd always known who she was. And when someone asked days later why she didn't speak up, why she didn't wear her stripes, the sergeant who remembered her tattoo said it best. The loudest ones ain't the deadliest. She didn't need to talk. She waited, and when it counted, she moved. Later that week, a framed photo appeared on the wall inside the base clinic. The girl walking into the medevac dust storm alone, carrying a red IV bag. No rank on her collar, no name tag, just strength in silence.